Welcome to First 100K, the show where I interview successful entrepreneurs about how they made their first $100,000, digging deep to find the tools, tactics, and superpowers that you can use to go from A to 100K. I'm your host, your friend, your coach, Joseph Warren. I'm also the owner of two co-working spaces here in Tampa, Florida, where I have the privilege of helping hundreds of entrepreneurs to start, launch, and grow successful businesses. Today, our featured guest is fearless entrepreneur Mike Kawula. Kind of like the bear, right?
Like the bear.
And you're like cute and cuddly the same way. That was totally inappropriate, but I said it anyway because that's what I do.
But I did send you a text of a koala bear.
Dude, you sent me a text of a koala bear, man. It's like you actually have these little things that you send out to your clients and stuff.
I like to spend quality time with you.
Oh my gosh, you did not just go there. I'm going to ignore that happened. Okay, so Michael, are you ready to serve up some value to our amazing listeners? Yes?
I hope I'm qualified.
You did not just do that again. How many of these do you have?
We could go on a long time.
Oh, my gosh. It's like you're rehearsing koala terminology. This is scary.
I could really tell you a lot about a koala bear that you might not want to know.
I'm pretty sure I don't. Okay, so Mike, let's go this way. Give us the industry that you work in, the name of your business, and your title there, please.
So I'm the CEO of a company called Quant. It is a software company, and it's a tool for Twitter where we help individuals find relevant, quality followers who might be interested in what they do for business.
Kind of cool, brother. Okay, and take a minute with us and share something personal that very few people in your business life know about you.
I've shared this on other podcasts, but really, most folks don't realize, but my entrepreneurial career started on 9/10/2001, the day before 9/11. So came home from working on Wall Street, and my wife said she wanted to go out for dinner, and we never went out for dinner. It was like 9 o'clock in the evening, and she's like, let's go out and have some drinks and talk, and I was like, obviously she wanted to talk about something, and she shared with me when I ordered my drink, I'm like, why aren't you drinking? And she said, well, guess what? I'm pregnant, and we're going to have our first child. And we spoke a lot that evening because I traveled a lot. She knew I wasn't happy. I was on Wall Street.
Yeah.
And she said, you've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. She knew I had businesses when I was in college, and I ended up going in that next day, that morning, and resigning. And we all know what happened, unfortunately, later on that day.
Wow. You lived it, brother. I was on the West Coast when that happened.
Wow.
I watched it on TV, and I literally thought it was just a movie. I was like, that's not real.
Yeah.
Literally, I was in denial, and I see it on all the TVs popping up, and I'm like, still not real. Like, I didn't get it.
When I started my business a year later, I was consulting a company called advertising.com that was later sold to AOL. We were in the midtown of the city, and a year later, there was a blackout in New York. I don't know if you remember that, but everything was out. Cell phones, cell towers, radio, TV. Nobody knew what was going on. Everybody thought again that we were under another attack. And I remember that night crossing the bridge to GW. I walked all the way up to GW. It was right around 12 o'clock. My wife was going to meet me on the other side, and phones went back on later on. And we found out that it was just something with the power grids. But it was, again, New York was on panic mode for quite some time, and the country still is.
Absolutely, I get it. And you and I were just talking before the show, just about the divisiveness right now in the country right now, and obviously that's not the topic of this show. However, it's very prevalent out there right now, and we're standing for a world that is unified, a world that works, one that comes together. So that's part of what this show is about, is entrepreneurs, supporting entrepreneurs, right? And you're about to share with us some of your wisdom from your first 1, 2, or 3 years. How long did it take you in your business from day one to making your first $100,000 gross revenue?
Yeah, so each business was very different. My very first business...
Let's go with your existing business.
With the current one right now?
Correct.
We did that within 6 months.
Got it. Okay.
So very aggressive, but I've learned a lot over the years, right? So my first business was not that way.
Oh, I get it.
I've had several businesses since that have actually lost a lot of money. So I've lost more than in business than I've won.
Yeah.
But you only have to win a few times.
Yes, you do. Exactly. Yeah, I don't even want to look back at my first, second, third, fourth, fifth businesses. It's like, yeah. So obviously we're getting better and better as we go. So our audience always loves context, right? So let's get down to business. How much revenue did you guys gross approximately, even a range, this past year?
Yeah, so the first year we did over 100,000.
Yeah.
The following year we did a 500,000, and this year we're going to cross 1 million easily, well over 1 million.
Fantastic, man. I love growth like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, double, triple, boom.
You know what I love more is profit, and let me just share this
Go
with
for
you. My prior business was a company where I ranked 144th fastest growing company here in the U.S., and it was with Inc. magazine.
Yeah, sure.
So my
That's
first
a
year,
huge honor, yeah.
huge honor, right? First year in business, we did 100K. The next year in business, we did 1 million. The following year, we did 2.8 million. So my third year in business, we did 2.8 million. I met an individual by the name. There was a party at the World Trade Center with Inc. magazine, and I met this individual, Joe Paluzzi, who owns Content Marketing Institute.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Okay, so Joe also made it, and he was ranked the 360th fastest growing company.
Sure.
So you would think, wow, Mike, you blew him away, right? Joe did 2.4 million, I think, his third year.
Yeah.
Difference is Joe spent a total over 3 years of $40,000 max in advertising his business.
Wow.
Myself, I was spending over $100,000 in just PPC advertising
Sure.
a year to drive
Pay-per-click,
my
yeah.
sales. So, I think, it's interesting just for all new entrepreneurs when starting off, when you're looking at other businesses and you see folks say, they're ranked in the top 5,000, a lot of times that's revenue.
Yes. It's
You
not
want to
always,
hear, what are you profiting? What
Yeah.
are you bringing home? Because I've seen tons of folks who make millions and millions, but they're not making a profit in their business, and you can't keep the doors open that way.
Mike, I really like that you distinguish that, right? It's not always apples to apples comparison, right?
It is?
Yeah. So the goal is, what are you netting, right? What are you taking home?
100%.
Exactly. So
So-
I get that. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for distinguishing that. Okay, cool. So, we all love to hear the wisdom of like mega millionaires, billionaires, but the raw fact is that 90% of us as entrepreneurs are struggling to make our first 100K. So our listeners listening right now are in that boat, right? So that's really the focus. So let's focus down on that first year, because it took you that first year to make the 100K. Paint us a picture of that and tell us that story.
Yeah, so I think, and we'll probably talk about this a lot throughout the show, because I like to say the word GSD, right? A lot of folks grind. A lot of folks sacrifice. Every entrepreneur I've met is determined about winning in business. But the bottom line is, not all entrepreneurs GSD, get stuff done or get done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason for that is that a lot of us are working in our businesses and not on our businesses as entrepreneurs. So my first year in the business, I think this time around, and the last few businesses I've had, is, I'm very good at knowing what I know and very good at also admitting what I don't know.
That's huge, brother.
So I outsource a tremendous amount, and I bring in a lot of folks around me that are much better than I am. I'm typically the least smart person in the room when I hold meetings with folks. But you know what? I'm with them because I know they're going to help me get what I need done.
Yeah.
So a lot of my day is spent, traditionally the first 2 hours of the day, I crank out a lot of what I need for the business. And a lot of the rest of the day, I'm either networking or just, thinking about stuff for my business that can bring it into the future.
I like that, right? And, on some episodes, I really touch on asking the question, what is your superpower? What's the one thing that you do not outsource because you are the only guy that can do it the way you do it?
The vision, definitely.
What is it?
About the vision, about looking where we're going to go.
So creating the vision and then
sharing it with
communicating,
everybody and how we're going to get there. So it's that everybody's on the same page. This is where we're looking, because short term, I think you and I were talking about numbers before this. And if you're looking at just the numbers every day, it can create scatterbrain and people panicking and changing stuff. And I let my team know, listen, this is where we're going. This is how we want to get there. I have a gentleman that writes for me, and I don't care if he puts out one blog post a month or if it takes him 4 to get him to get us the traffic that we're looking for. So, traditionally folks would say, or he would say, I got to put out a lot of content, right? Because this is what's going to work for us. But, when we talk, sometimes I've said, listen, let's try to put maybe one good piece of content that everybody's going to link to, SEO-wise, and then over 3, 4, 5 months, just watch the value of that happening. And so, it's not that short term. It's making everybody really clear, where do we want to go? And making sure that the folks who are helping me get there are really good at their job.
Yeah.
And then the rest, I just sit back and, think more about, tweaks that I want to make.
All right. So now I get, right, what's occurring to me right now is when you walked in before the show and you came into the studio and you're like, so Joseph, so what's your goal with the podcast? Right? Now I get what you were actually asking. I wasn't getting it then. Yeah. So you're like, okay, what's that big goal? What's that number? How many by when? Right? And then, okay, how are you going to get there? And that doesn't mean you have to sit and watch the metrics every day and stress yourself out. That's just ridiculous. So the goal is 1 million listeners by 2019.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. I'm sharing that on the air, which is hilarious to me.
It's awesome.
But yeah, it just occurred to me.
And your listeners will help you get there.
Yeah. It just occurred to me what your actual question was.
It's awesome.
You have an intensity about you, bro. I got to say, man. I thought I was intense. You're pretty intense. Cool. What would you say was your biggest fail in the first year of this business, in your eyes?
With this current business, my biggest fail was I fail. Again, I think I shared more than I succeed. So I'm always failing and again, learning from that and then iterating, right? So I've outsourced a lot of times to the wrong people. But that's just something that happens. I look back at my first online business, which was an office supply business, right? Okay. So I came from owning, a cleaning company where I had 50 employees out there cleaning homes throughout South Jersey to all of a sudden getting into the online world and knowing nothing about it, right? And then, they say the bulls, the bears make money, the pigs get slaughtered. So we were making a ton of money. So what did Mike decide to do? Mike decides that I'm going to start ordering supplies from overseas, from China, and drop shipping it right from a warehouse. Well, I'd never done that before. So I get 100 of these products in. We blow through them in day one on our website. It was awesome. So then I ordered a half container, blow through that. I order a full container. The container gets to Edison, New Jersey, receive the phone call that's being shipped down to South Jersey where our warehouse was. And then I also receive a cease and desist from, as seen on TV, Kevin Harrington, who's a local individual here.
No way,
saying
Kevin, my boy.
That the mops, and he probably doesn't even know it's his legal department, but the mops that we were buying to sell were being made from the warehouse that they were making it from, and this company was basically just taking his mold and selling it to us. Well, we didn't know, but now I'm stuck with a full container coming to my house, warehouse, and I'd already paid for it, and I was stuck with it. Yeah. So, I mean, major fail, major lesson there, right? Sure. I mean, I ended up making more money because what we ended up doing was selling the parts. Instead of the actual unit. And so I made more money on it, but I'm like, I am never doing this again. But again, that was a lot of stress, and my business could have actually gone out because I had a lot invested in that, and I was just getting started.
I really like that you were resilient enough, right? Because that's a lot of entrepreneurship, is being resilient and not quitting.
100%.
Right? Literally, that's it. And going above, around, over, under, whatever's needed. So, like, you got stopped with that cease and desist. And it's like, who would have thought? It's like, well, you know what? Okay, so I can't, the design is what's protected, right?
Not
the
mop
parts itself. But if I disassemble it and take it apart, there's no protection on all the individual pieces and parts and everything like that. And you sold them, and you actually made more money.
2 ears, one mouth. I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten from a mentor, and that's to listen more than we talk. So
how does that apply to that scenario?
Well, I was walking out of my office that night, and again, a lot of times when I'm confused with my business, so I explained to you, I work sometimes up to 4 hours a day, but the rest of the day I'm definitely walking, thinking, or talking to people, right? And I remember walking around my warehouse, just looking at it all. I walked through my customer service department, and I was listening to people on the phone, and one of them had said, I don't know if anybody actually sells that part. Now, they were talking about a desk or something like that, but they were like, I'm not sure. And I had trained my customer service team to be much like Zappos is, right? So even if we couldn't help them, we have a computer in front of us. Let's help them out. So look, and this girl was looking online, and so I had asked her, I was like, what were you talking about? And she's like, they don't sell the parts for this. I was like, oh, it's interesting. And it didn't click then, but the fact I asked her a question, right? I could have just
and
walked
you
through,
marinate, and your subconscious takes it, and it
went
goes to
home,
work.
had a cocktail, complained to my wife about how much money we just lost. What are we gonna do? And it just hit me. I'm like, holy cow, the parts. And so I went to famous Google and Googled, can I actually do this? And I could, because I'm not selling. I'm just actually selling actual units of it. And and it was the listening part and asking questions. And I think a lot of times, in business, we feel like we have to be the expert in something, and we need to know it all. And, I don't think that at all. Again, I know nothing about software. I don't know anything about coding or developing, right? But I know how to grow a company and sell a company. So that's what I'm doing right now. But I surround myself with people, ask them good questions, and move on from there.
I love it, brother. So listen to what Mike is sharing there, because that's a real wisdom nugget, right? Is literally taking time in your day as an entrepreneur to back out of the business, get away from the business, go plug into life, right? Engage in life, communicate with people, ask people questions, just be curious, be that curious little boy or girl that you once were. And before you know it, the answer to that big hairy problem that you're stuck with, that stopped you, it just shows up. Because your subconscious is already searching for the answer, but you need new environments, new stimuli.
100%.
Yeah, I get that, brother. That's awesome. All right, cool. So, my next question would have been the biggest aha moment, but it sounds like that was a big aha moment that you had right there, And granted, you needed some alcohol to get there.
I would say it's a couple of things. One, if I had to look at just all businesses I've started, it's one, imperfect action beats perfect inaction. Hesitation is the enemy of success in business.
Got it. So I say it's similar. Sometimes good enough is good enough.
It's true.
Yeah, and just launch.
Just go.
Yeah.
And stop worrying about it. I mean, my first office desk was built on milk crates and a piece of plywood going across. I never worried about what my office was going to look like, my business cards, my website. My first website looked like crap.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I've had folks look at, parts of our business and say, well, this isn't perfect. But it's working, and it will get better.
You know what? So I'm going to use this podcast, this show, as an example, and my other podcast, right? It's literally, I could easily get caught up in perfection paralysis, right? And I was like, you know what? It's good enough. I know I'm going to suck in the beginning.
Yeah.
On the first 50 episodes, I'm finding my voice, and I'm learning new technology. I'm learning how to edit, audio files. I'm learning how to upload to iTunes. Just there's all this back end work. I enjoy doing the show, right? This is my superpower, right? Is doing this. But then doing all the back end, the post-production is miserable, right? But I have to do it in the beginning, and then I'm going to outsource it. I set a goal of 90 days. I'll outsource it. But until then, it's don't get caught up in all the perfection of it. And it's literally, I knew the audio quality wasn't awesome. It was good. It was good enough. If I ever turn them into, vlogs or whatever and do video, it's going to be YouTube quality video.
Yeah.
And I'm going to launch. It's not going to be bring in the cameras, let's do this major video shoot and everything like that. So, listen, if you're listening right now, we're talking with Mike Kawula, just like the bear, because he loves to hear that. I don't know. He's got a alter ego of a koala bear or something like that. Which is awesome. But, he's dropping wisdom nuggets right now, and stop chasing perfection and just launch, just get going. And when I say launch, maybe you're in business already, but what's that product you've been holding back on?
Exactly.
Yeah. What's that project you've been holding back on?
If you want to hit your 100K, you got to launch. And, you've got to also, number two, in my opinion, is, and this comes across sometimes the wrong way, but kill the naysayers. And what I mean by that is the naysayers could be your friends, it could be your family, it could be a lot of folks that are coming at you and giving you their opinion of what your business should be.
But they're not in your business. They don't have a clue. They don't have facts to work with. It's just opinions.
And it could be maybe the voice inside your head.
That
and
too.
so all of a sudden you're spending 6-10 hours a day grinding, working online and looking at Facebook, and say you're working on your business, but you're working in your business. And so kill those naysayers. It could be you, or it could be maybe family members, but shut that down and focus on your business. And if you launch, kill those naysayers, and you make sure you're working on your business, you will make your first 100K.
Yeah, and don't quit.
100%.
Don't quit. That's key, right? So looking back at your first 100K in this business, Mike, in your opinion, what was the number one thing that got you over that hurdle, the 100K hurdle? Number one thing.
Number one thing is I had a plan, and I executed on that plan. And so, we spoke about not getting caught up in the mud, the grime of looking at your numbers each and every day. But I am a big believer in what isn't measured cannot grow. So I do consistently on Fridays, for instance, look at, is this going in the right direction? So I knew for us.
That's different altogether.
Yeah.
Is it going in the right direction as opposed to, did I hit every darn milestone that I was hoping
But have some
for?
KPIs in your business.
Key performance indicators, yes.
And make sure that, something is going. So for me, there's 4 ways that I grow a business.
Go.
And number one is I always look at 2 or 3 different ways to drive traffic to my business. So I've had online businesses, I've had service-based businesses, now I have a software company. So all completely 3 different. But each one I'm always looking at multiple different ways I can drive traffic to that business. Number 2 is how am I going to activate that traffic? So for me now, it's how am I going to get that email address and then get them going into my funnel system. 3, once they become a customer, how can I build that relationship with that person? So again, if this is a service-based business and you're meeting people face-to-face, belly-to-belly, once they're a customer, your existing customer is so much easier to keep than getting a new customer. And a lot of folks forget that. So take really good care of them. And then number 4 happens by itself, which is virality. How can I create virality in my business so is that my current customers or new people coming in that maybe aren't customers will refer me to other folks who are? And that's making sure that you can explain your business really clear. For instance, have you ever gone to a networking event and you ask somebody what they do and you walk away and you're scratching your head like either one, you have no clue what they do, or they just lump themselves in like what everybody else. Like I meet people who say, I'm a website designer. I know hundreds of them. I know 100 realtors.
They make themselves a commodity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Be very specific. And this helps if you can communicate that then to your customers or prospects who are walking in, because they are your best army to get new business in, and then you don't have to spend marketing dollars. And as a new business owner that's not making 100K in their business yet, you know what? You need those dollars, right? So you can't waste dollars on marketing. But if you take care of folks, whether they're a customer or not, and they clearly understand who you are and believe in who you are in sincerity, and you and I spoke about that before, and like really feeling people and saying they're a good fella, you've got an army of folks out there. We both know Chris Kermitzos. He's a great guy, right? Who would not here locally go to bat for the guy, right? Because he just gives to everybody. He's a master networker. He knows like everybody, right? And so we love him. And I'm that way with my business. So that's the 4 ways. It's multiple ways of getting traffic, activate that traffic, take good care of your customers, and virality, the number 4 way, will grow your business. And that's what we focused on, for this business and all my previous businesses.
I like that. You just gave like a 4-step blueprint, really, to plug into any industry, any niche of how to grow a successful business or brand.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's a huge value nugget right there. So listen up, folks. Listen up. Mike is dropping it, man. So, Mike, what's the best business advice you received during your first year of business?
Best piece of advice would be waltz with people.
Say that again.
Waltz with
like
people.
Dance.
Dance with people.
Okay.
Even you know me, and we've got to know each other better, and I'm newer here in Tampa, but I'm very laser focused on where I want to go sometimes, that I don't spend the time to really communicate and dance with folks and really get to know them. And
so take the time to, like, what are we doing right after this show?
We're going to go grab a drink.
Yeah, and I'm going to smoke some cigars, right? And we're gonna waltz.
Exactly.
Right? I get that.
And I don't do that enough. So when I came down here, I made a quick, when I moved to Tampa, I said, and I did this when I was still up in New Jersey because I had sold my businesses. I was moving here, didn't know what I was going to do yet, but I had reached out to my network, and I have a pretty decent network, and I had said, who are the 3 people that I should meet when I come to Tampa? And I did this to multiple different people, right? And so I kept hearing a lot of different names. Chris was one of them. So what I do when I came down here, Chris and I went out and had dinner together. So I did it with Chris and a couple of other folks down here. But one thing I didn't do was continue doing that as my business was growing. And, my network is really big, but there's no reason why my network can't continue to grow. So one of my investors is always saying, Mike, slow down, go out, waltz, dance with people. And so it's been great advice for me.
I like that. Isn't it funny how the very things that got us to where we are, right, towards success, we stop doing?
Exactly.
And we think there's something new, something better. We're always looking for that next. Instead of sticking with the stuff that works.
That and step outside your business, I would say, is always good, good advice, is because you get so caught up sometimes in your niche, right? So, yesterday I knew
it becomes a bubble.
Facebook was down, right, and Instagram. And I've got a lot of friends who are big in social media, and they're like, oh my God, Facebook, it's major issues and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know what? The world still went on yesterday. There's plenty of people that realize, you could still go out and do other things. So no matter what your business is, try to communicate with people in different niches because, you can learn a lot about that, and then you're not so stuck in yours. And I think it's good mentally for us.
I like that. Share with us one of your daily habits during your first year in business that got you to where you are now.
Great daily habit is my first 2 hours of the day, I am not looking at my phone other than turning on a podcast or 2 or 3, and I do around a 2-hour walk every morning by myself. So it's real early in the morning. I'm home by 6:30, so I'm typically leaving 4:35 in the morning and just walking, and I'm listening to a few podcasts. In between stopping and thinking, I use notes on my phone and will put in notes, but I'm not looking at email. I'm not on social media. As much as, I'm the guy on Twitter, as folks say, I'm actually, a lot of what I do is automated.
Yes.
So folks might think that I'm on there. Any response is coming from me because I think, there's a sense of authenticity there. But I am turning off technology and really just starting my day off very fresh where my mind is, because a lot of folks, they wake up, they look at their phone and they have headaches and problems. And if you're doing that, then the rest of the day, you're kind of, 2 steps behind. Whereas
you're
for me,
reactive.
Very. And my day is just, sometimes I don't even look at email in the morning. Or if I do, I use a tool when I reply to people that doesn't actually go out until like 4 or 5 in that evening, or sometimes 7 o'clock that evening. And because I don't want to start what I call ping pong back and forth. If I send an email, somebody replies, and then they know you're in front, and then it's back. No, when I send an email, sometimes it's going out 6 or 7 hours later if I'm going through my email. And then I'm shutting off email and focusing on what needs to be done. But a lot of times I'm not looking at my email until after 9, and I've already accomplished a lot of what I need for the day.
I really like that, which segues into the next question. What's your favorite website, app, or digital resource? Maybe that one that allows you to push off the email correspondence.
Folks it's a Chrome extension, and I'm like a Google guy, so a lot of the stuff I use is inside of Google.
Okay.
This is called, I think, the inbox or what have you, and it's neat because also if I send out emails to folks and it's from a sales standpoint, and I want to remember, what it will do is it will come back into my email box if somebody doesn't reply. So is that then I can reach back out to them, which I really like that. So if I'm reaching out, for instance, for you, if you're trying to get somebody on the show and you send them a message, a lot of times also sometimes folks will say follow up in X number of weeks or what have you. So again, it's coming back into my inbox. So it really just helps me stay really focused. But also, I have multiple email addresses, and one email is coming to me, which I never share with folks except really close people inside my network. The rest is really looked at first by a team member that decides, does Mike need to look at this, or can I just handle it? And this way I can stay hyper-focused again on the vision of where we're going with our business.
I like it, man. I really like the up early 2-hour walk thing and just really unplugged from everything business related. What time do you go to bed? I gotta ask. I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm actually not a night owl. So during the work week, I am very into my children, my wife. So
you're in bed by what time?
9:30, 10.
Okay.
You
And that's
know,
why you could
so-
be up at 4:30.
Yeah, so I do
Yeah, yeah.
read a lot. I typically will read 2 to 3 books a week.
Yeah.
So
Dang, bro.
yeah, I love reading, and I'm probably listening to, I don't even know. I know I've crossed 1,000 plus hours of podcast listening.
Dang.
Yeah, so
Love it, man. And that's where the resiliency could come in, right? 'Cause
I
you
love
have
learning.
so much. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and again,
Yeah.
so it's making sure. I do want to say this again. If you're on your path of 100K, don't be trying to overlearn and following everybody else and not executing, or worse off, SOS, shiny object syndrome, meaning like, you hear this growth tactic and you haven't finished trying your other growth tactic to see if it's going to, be successful yet. So, SOS, I think, kills a lot of business owners before they can even reach it, or the fact that they just didn't give something long enough and they quit, as you said before, you ever see that, it's a picture of somebody in a mine, and the diamond is like right.
They're digging,
Digging.
then they stop and
It's right there,
they drop their shoulders and they
Yeah.
turn and walk away, and it's like one more strike.
right there. Yeah.
Boom. Got it. Love it. All right, Mike, we're about to enter the hustle round. And I'm making this a quick interview because we're going to drink and smoke cigars, bro.
Let's go.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask you 12 quick fire questions.
Smokes.
Yeah, you'll have 3 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it. First thing that comes to you. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Here we go. What's your favorite sound?
Music.
What's your least favorite sound?
Kids screaming.
When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A lawyer.
What are you most afraid of?
Spiders.
What? I'll try not to laugh. What did you spend way too much time doing your first year in business?
I don't believe I wasted any time.
Gotcha. I didn't ask if you wasted time. What did you spend way too much time doing, in your opinion, that you could have spent less on?
I probably spent too much time in the business and not enough time with my family.
Got it. Oh, okay. Big. What secret fear do you have about people?
What secret fear?
Mm-hmm. Do you have about people? How you occur to them, how they occur to you, anything else?
Sincerity.
Sincerity. How do you mean?
Trusting people.
Trusting them. Got it.
Making
Yeah,
sure
I
there's
got it.
no motives behind what they're doing.
So are they for real? Do they really want to help me, or is there an agenda?
Or are they just real in general? Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Are they
that.
good people?
We were talking about that when
Yeah.
you first walked in about certain people. What do you wish you had learned sooner in business?
That's okay to fail.
Yeah, and fail
You
quick
don't have
and
to.
get back up.
You don't have to
Yeah.
look perfect to everybody.
Exactly. What is a new habit you want to form?
Reading faster. I'm thinking of so many.
You want to do like 4 or 5 books a week.
Yeah, I do want to be able to read and retain more. I'm listening to this guy Jim Quick,
Yeah.
Quick Learning, love him, and I'd like to not only read faster, but memorize more what I read.
Yeah, I get that.
Not even memorize, actually.
Retain.
Retain.
Yeah, I get it. What bad habit do you want to break?
Resorting to drinking when I'm upset.
I get it. Hopefully you're not upset tonight. We're
I'm
just
not.
drinking for
We're
fun.
just
Yeah?
gonna drink to drink.
All right. Cool. Pick 3 words that describe who you are now.
Loving. Father. Husband.
Ooh, I like that. Priorities. You got your priorities. You didn't
I
say
haven't.
anything about business. That's
Haven't,
interesting.
because I wasn't before.
Yeah, I
and
get it.
I
But
actually
you've learned.
believe I've become more successful, to me, successful in life
Yeah.
since I've stepped away from business,
Yeah.
and it's actually helped my business.
Absolutely, because you show up better.
100%.
I get that. Describe pick 3 words to describe who you were back then. Your first 100K.
My first 100K.
Yeah.
Fast. Hustling. Distracted.
I think you just described my entire audience. Love you guys, but that's exactly where we are the first year in
Yeah,
business.
you're just
right?
moving fast. You're not organized sometimes. You're distracted.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise coming at you. I get it. Again, I've done this. I've been punched in the face a lot as an entrepreneur. And each time you're starting off, the same crap is coming at you, but you're moving fast. But I think it's good sometimes if you can step back and reflect, because as much as that first 100K is very important, if you're doing it in a smart way, you're going to blow through 100K and hit the 7-figure even faster.
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. Like I shared earlier, like I'm stepping out of my co-working businesses right now because my team's running it really well. I actually get in the way of them doing what they need to do. And it's like the less I'm doing in the business, the more effective I am in the business when I do
100%.
something. And it's just powerful, right? So it's working. Imagine sometime in the distant future and there you are standing in front of your tombstone.
Mhm.
Read to us what it says on it.
Loving father, husband, go-getter.
I like it. Very similar to how you describe yourself now. Cool. And if you could come back to life after you died and tell your family, friends, and loved ones only one piece of advice, what would you say to them?
Love.
Love.
It's honest.
It's not that difficult.
No.
Right?
And, how do you have love? You can, feel grateful at times, appreciate what you have.
Acknowledge
I think,
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think, the world would be a better place.
I agree with you. I'm with you, brother. We're standing in love here. Mike, what's the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you?
Obviously on Twitter, Mike Kawula is my
Spelled
Twitter.
just like the bear.
Yeah, a little bit different. Kawula. Twitter's really the best. LinkedIn, Facebook sometimes, but really Twitter, I reply to everybody that tweets me.
Gotcha. And what's your website?
It is socialquant.net.
How do you spell Quant?
Quant.
Awesome. Mike, thanks for joining us today, and I wish you peace, love, and superpowers. Cheers. Head over to first100k.com for even more tools, tactics, and tricks that you can use to go from A to 100k. I'm Joseph Warren, and you are made for greatness. So stop being a wuss and start being a winner. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next show. Cheers.